launching onto the freeway. It's a highway. I don't know, freeways are faster than this. So I've had the Leaf for like 6-ish months. Gone over 6,000 miles. Bought it back in December. And this is going to be the update that I wish I had when I was looking at buying one of these.
Yeah, I'll give you a hand.
Biggest thing I didn't see coming after buying the car was the elimination of range anxiety. And I've seen other EV owners online talk about this, but they don't go in depth. So when I first bought the car, I was very anxious about the numbers on the dash and how far I was going to go and whether or not I was going to use air conditioning or heat or whatever. Mainly heat because it was the winter when I first got the car. And now it's almost like I don't care, but it's less that I don't care and more that I've grown accustomed to the capabilities of the car, if that makes sense. So right now I've got the air conditioning on because it's 87 degrees outside, and I'm about to go on the freeway where it's 65 miles an hour, and I'm going to drive 65 miles an hour because that's the speed limit. And I'm not gonna care because my trip that I have planned right now, which is like kind of a roundabout, I have an excess of range of charge. And yeah, gosh, I don't know how to explain it other than you just get used to it. Speed limit isn't enough for some people though. Oh. There's a lot of cops out today too, and I saw a lot of people get pulled over. Can't drive 65. So yeah, biggest thing was the range anxiety. It's greatly diminished after the first month or two of learning about the capabilities of the car. Second thing that I didn't see coming was that I would be using the crap out of this car compared to my other cars. I have 2 other cars that are registered and operational right now, and they barely get used anymore. Like barely. Bungee tied barn doors. Real classy. So the car's quick. Geez, like there's no gears, and having to maneuver on the freeway, and more so, especially in the city, is on point. So yes, the second thing that I didn't see happening after I bought the car, but did, was that I use the crap out of the car. My wife likes the car. She was kind of skeptical at first. She was like, what is it? I don't know what's going on. And then when she started driving it, she's like, yes, it's good. It's that simple. But like every chance we have to use this car, we do instead of the other cars, and it's been the majority of the driving. $7,000 on a used Leaf, and I thought I was just gonna be able to use it to go to work and back, and I ended up just it's not just work and back, it's like all the family trips and stuff as well. Alright, let's go park and talk about some questions. Okay. 10 years ago, I bought a Geo Metro for the purpose of converting to electric, and I did not convert it because it was getting 40 miles to the gallon, and that was better than my truck, so I just left that because of that. And also it's expensive to convert your car to electric, more expensive than buying the used Leaf, capability for capability, like air conditioning, heating, the range, the charger. It's pretty cool how that works out. But like when it's cold, I turn on the heat, and when it's hot, I turn on the AC. And I've learned the capability of the car to where I can very accurately judge whether or not I can make it somewhere. One thing I was certain that was going to happen, that I was right about, was the quick charging, the DC quick charging. I was not going to get one of these cars unless it had DC quick charging, And that has been a capability that I've used so much so as to, I would say, half of the amount that I've used the car so far, I wouldn't have used it if it didn't have the DC charging. One example is last night I went to the movies with my wife, and we dropped off the kids at a friend's house, and we had enough charge to go from our house to the friend's house, drop off the kids, and get to the movies, and that was it. And then get back to the kids, actually. Right, not home though. So super ultra backup plan would have had to been to plug in at the friend's house for several hours or get an Uber. But what we did do was quick charge for 5 minutes at the movie theater. They had 2 DC fast chargers, and we charged for 5 minutes. It was a very low state of charge. It had 13 miles left on the charge, and it was at 2 bars. And so it charged up 3 bars in that 5-minute period of time. We were able to go get the kids, come back home, and we still had those 2 bars left, which is really cool. Yeah, so that's an example of that. One cool example of the range anxiety that it just no longer is a thing for me, but it is for my wife. We went to the beach about 20 miles from our house. That would make a 40-mile round trip. I know that the car can do 40 miles on the freeway. It can do 40 miles. I have not climbed any large altitudes doing that, but I can do a solid 40. So we had around 60. We went to the beach, we came back, and then we went to Home Depot and then came back again. So we threw in that sort of a random trip, like a lot of people think you can't do, or they assume it's an issue, which it can be. But anyway, we were able to do that. But yeah, range anxiety is it's interesting how that's changed. I've got some questions from subscribers. More recently, a person by the name of James Taylor. I like your guitars. Pretty sure they're yours, right? You're asking about driving a Leaf. You had some good questions. Thanks for the questions. Could you go over, daily driver. It's a better daily driver than I had expected. I just wanted it for work and maybe some stuff around town. It ended up being for work, for everything around town. People talk about how there's the technology isn't there. What might change their mind if they have the ability to charge at home would be to just drive one for like a week, and then they might get sold on it. Okay, do you worry about the range? So yeah, range I don't really worry about. There's been only one trip that we've done long distance since we bought this car, and we did that in our Volvo. It would have been cheaper to take the Leaf, but we would have had a quick charge 3 times in between because this battery doesn't go that far. If we had the new Leaf with the 100-mile range, we would have only had to charge once in between, and then at the location, then once in between back, if that makes sense. Yeah. Do you drive differently to maximize range? I used to do like surface streets only, and then that would take like an extra 10 or 15 minutes to get where I needed to go, and I'd have more range. But in the winter especially, I was burning the heater for longer, so you take that into account, that if you get on the freeway and you get to where you're going quicker, you don't burn your heater for as long. And I realize I'm using the verb burn. That's because it puts out heat. Oh, we lost the camera. Now, if I'm going somewhere, my first concern is to get there the quickest. And so I usually go the quickest. And then I got to think, how am I going to get back? Can I? Yes or no? Yes. Okay. Or no, what do I do? Stay at home for charging 30 more minutes, or charge at the destination? I usually hop on PlugShare. I'm like, hey, can I get a charge nearby? And then like, oh, there's a quick charger. You look at the history. It's like, it's been broken, or this douchebag with a P100D keeps parking there daily and doesn't charge. But I don't drive too much differently. But keep in mind, I usually follow the speed limit. So if you're used to doing like 10 miles over the speed limit on the freeway, I can't really give you much input for that, other than you're going to use more juice. I do notice though, when I'm on like in a residential area doing 25 and it's for a long distance of like 6 miles, which is, there's one long neighborhood that I sometimes go through from work. It takes like 2 miles off my range. It's weird. But surely you could just charge it and drive. Yes, it is as simple as just charge it and drive it. It is that simple. 2013 and newer models have the option where there was a 6 kilowatt charger. You can charge at roughly twice the rate of this car, which is 2012 and 2011's, where they were limited at around 3.3, and then there was an upgrade to hit 3.7 with them, but you might be able to count on that if you have that an EVSE that can provide that. My EVSE, which I still have, same one that the original Nissan dealership said was bad. In my charger videos, if you haven't seen those, I'll put the images and link them. I'm still using that. It puts out 3.3 kilowatts, and when I hook up the Leaf Spy app, which is a must, with this Bluetooth dongle thing, you can see that it's soaking up about 3,300 watts. Rain or raining hard, I guess you can. There's nothing in the manual that I found that says don't do that. It feels weird plugging in the car in the rain. I've done it, but like if it's pouring rain outside, I won't. But also, I don't have to charge outside anymore. And then snow, if like snow were to pile up on it while it's charging, I don't see what the problem would be, other than you'd have to find the plug and unplug it. If it's very saline in the snow, and for some reason your EVSE has a fault and is constantly putting voltage at the plug, which is very, very unlikely, you could get shocked, but that's not how that works. So yeah, and then I'm going to do this similarly. If gas starts to leak and then catches fire, you'll burn. Could I replace the batteries myself? I am of the mindset that the answer to that is yes. But you could kill yourself, just like when you work on a car. Guess what? This is a car. 400 volts unregulated, though, is essentially what you could unleash with this battery pack. And that is going to be a nasty, messy, smelly death. And that wouldn't be good. Similar to catching fire working on a car. There are plenty of videos on YouTube and people that are dismantling their batteries. I think there's one guy who dismantles it, uses the inner working electronics, replaces the individual rectangular cells, and then puts it back together. That's a lot of work. If you buy a battery from like a wadded up Leaf from the junkyard and you want to install it in your car, I don't think that's going to happen without altering something in the computer, because I'm pretty sure there's something talking back and forth between the battery and the car, and something's got to match. But I can't remember. I haven't looked at these service manuals in a while. I only looked at them for... Anyway, I bet you could change the batteries yourself, but it would be an enormous amount of work. Will it be more cost effective in the long run? Yes and no. Yes, if you buy a car like this, where you get it for $7 grand, and you have the ability to charge at home, and you're paying 13 cents a kilowatt hour delivered to your house like I am, and then especially if you've got solar and an excess of kilowatt hours you're putting back into the system. But I want to say no. If you're going to get like the Chevy Bolt or even a brand new Leaf, and then you're driving it like you normally would have your gas car, I would say it's not as cost effective as buying a cheap compact car for like 100,000 miles probably. I don't know. I haven't done the math. Dang, I should probably do the math. But if you were to buy a 35 to $40,000 car versus a $35 to $40,000 EV, the operational cost will be cheaper. That's just all there is to it, and especially if gas prices go up. Yeah, that's all there is to it. Aftermarket batteries, I wish. I don't think that's gonna happen. I only have opinions on that, and hopes. My opinion is that the car companies won't care, or that Nissan won't care to have like an upgraded battery. I hope they do, but I don't think they're going to care. I'm really excited to see this new Leaf coming out, but it's really weird how there's so much how Chevy has revealed about the Bolt prior to its coming out, and then Tesla's Model 3 prior to it coming out, but then Nissan is just showing like a picture of the headlight. That's kind of strange. A must that you've got to have, in my opinion, is the DC quick charging. You've got to have that. If you don't have that, that's fine. You can still use the crap out of the car, but just not for those contingent things that come up. But even then, like, our car will be at 2 bars of charge. We get home and we'll be like, oh, we want to go to the grocery store real quick. It's like, and it's 3 miles away. There you go. You can do the math. There's plenty of charge left. We just do it, and then watch the battery light come on, and then whatever. You'll make it home. I do carry an extension cord and a level 1 charger in the back. Extension cord's 14 gauge, which at its 100% time rated capacity is 1440 watts, and that's exactly what the level 1 charger I have pulls, is 1440 watts. I didn't do that math until recently, and I've actually used that capability before, going places that were distance, that I knew I'd be there for a while, and the parking garage had a 20 amp outlet, and I got enough charge to come home. I'm pretty sure that's going to be illegal someday, because you're not paying for the electricity, and it's not just put out there like on a sign. But I knew the place and the people who maintained that plug. But I don't suggest plugging into just a random plug anywhere and expect that you're following the law, because essentially you're taking electricity with no sort of agreement of like, yeah, here, take this electricity, unless there's a sign or something. Extra pros and cons. Okay, here's a con, but I kind of figured out. It's like a fake turtle mode. This car will go into a turtle mode when the battery gets too low. It'll go slow. One time I was at a light, I tried taking off, and it like went for like a mile an hour, maybe 2 or 3. And I'm like, what's going on here? There's nothing on the gauge, nothing. And then I stopped, and I went, and I tried going. Anyway, it went after like a few moments. I tried to figure it out. I couldn't figure it out. I thought about it for a few days, went online, tried to figure it out. No one's talking about it. And then I thought, why don't I leave my foot on the brake lightly and press on the gas and see what happens? And so it did the exact same thing. The same symptom was there. So essentially, the brake twice has got caught on the upward position and not gone up all the way. And so the car thought that the brake was depressed, and when it thinks the brake is depressed and you press the gas, it won't go like full throttle. It'll go very, very low output mode, let's say. But that was scary. So like I said, it happened yesterday. I put my foot under the brake pedal and pulled up on it, and then pressed the gas pedal. I'm going to keep calling it. And whipped. Press the gas. Con? Let's say it's con. It's normal with Japanese cars, though. Like the Hondas I've sat in, the Toyotas I've sat in and owned. And then this one, I'm going to call this a con. The seat isn't that comfortable. I sit in my Volvo after driving this thing for like a month or 2, and I feel like I'm in a lazy boy recliner in that thing. I'm like, oh, it's so comfortable. But it's very effective, and it can, for a full charge worth of travel, it doesn't put me in any sort of pain. Yeah. Still, I don't know if it's a con, but I want to call it one. Seriously been thinking about buying another one of these cars. I'm pretty decent at acquiring cars historically because I get them broken or in need of repair. I fix them, and then I've got a car. Like our van we bought for $1,400, $1,600 or something like that. It was pretty decent, and it just needed like sway bar mounts and I can't remember, a couple other things to pass the safety thing. $7,000 for a used car, kind of expensive. Our Volvo was that much, but that was years ago. And yeah, it has needed maintenance since. I don't get it. Left turn yields. Straight and right do not, because they're oncoming traffic. Left turn yield. Okay, big pro. I didn't talk about in my initial review because I didn't experience it. My wife did first, and then I did the other day with everyone in the car. And what essentially happened was the brakes locked up on purpose to stop. And the car, I've never experienced anything like it. I've been in a full-size pickup truck. I've been in four-door cars. I've been SUVs. I've been in all those cars. I've been passenger and sometimes the driver, where had to depress the brake fully and stop. This car, it's electric, duh. It's got one gear, but it's also got a rapid response time in the motor. So when you floor it, you get all the power right away. When you set the cruise control, it's like right away. You press one up, it's like one up or one down. It's cool. On my Volvo, it doesn't do that. I'm going off topic. Anyway, when you slam on the brakes, it cuts the motor and locks the brakes. And given that the battery has quite a bit of weight over all four tires, this car stops very fast. It was scary. Like, the seatbelt was very much an integral part in me not having my face shoved into the steering wheel. But yeah, this car stops quick. And the first time I'd ever heard of anything like this was my wife called me. She was on her own. Somebody was on the freeway, and she was going to somewhere, and I think there was an accident. One car's on the side of the road, another car's on the side of the road, and a car popped out in front of her or something. She had to hit the brakes. She stopped immediately, and she called to let me know that. And I'm like, what? That's great. I'm glad. And she's like, yeah, thanks for letting me drive the car, because if I was driving the Volvo, I would have gotten in an accident. Which is a weird thing to hear about a Volvo, but I can totally understand it now after having had experienced it not too long ago. This car stops differently than I've ever felt a car stop. And I think I've talked about that for like 3 minutes now. Yeah, I never thought of like the inertia that's still going on in the engine in a gas car that I think is working against your brakes. I mean, maybe there's some cars where they disconnect the transmission, like the transmission disconnects, or like a clutch disconnects. I don't think so though. Huh. And like just that extra inertia, it makes sense now after experiencing that stop. I strongly recommend, if you get the Leaf, or if you're shopping for one, you get this Bluetooth dongle and plug it in, and you also pay the 10 or 20 bucks for Leaf Spy. It's an app, and you can see the state of health for the battery. When I first got the car, it was reading at 70%. Now it's reading at 68. Some people online are putting up metrics out there to where you'll lose your capacity bars, and they say your fourth bar goes at 66.5%, or I can't remember, but other people are commenting otherwise. I've done the math for the percentage that I've lost so far and the amount that I'm driving and expect to drive soon and into the future. It's another, from this point, 1 to 2 years before I'll lose that fourth bar. One thing that's absolutely true, I want to be able to go farther. I want a new battery. I see a lot of people responding to my first review, hey man, just quick charge it all the time that you can, and also they're making suggestions to try to degrade the battery faster, and I just won't do that. There's no need. I don't need to do that. If I want a battery bad enough, I have the capability to do some sort of loan program to get one paid and put in. I think Nissan also offers like a battery payment thing, but I haven't asked them yet, but I've heard people talk about it. It essentially would cost the same that I've paid for this car. Anyway, the car works like really well, even though it's, I would say now, heavily degraded. It still works really well. But yeah, I could only imagine if this thing could do 80 miles, we would have gone on a lot further trips just because our car could go farther, and it's so cheap to drive. And mind you, I still have 2 gas cars, and I can go plenty far in them, but like the dollars really add up. Like the trip we took today was like $1. It's like $1 worth of electricity, and it would have been $5 worth of gas. And so we can do 5 of those trips for the same cost it would take one on our gas car. And even though we're talking about $1 and $5 right now, it does weigh mentally on decision making. Cool things about the car that I didn't leverage on heavy enough during the initial review was the app. So since this year, 2017 started, I think it's 2015 and older Leafs no longer work without a telematics unit upgrade to 3G because they were using 2G, that's my understanding. So I paid the $200. It should be $200. If you don't want to get screwed out of that and you're getting more than $200 quoted to you from your dealership, either go to another dealership or call up Nissan and let Nissan know, like, these guys are trying to charge me this. Is that correct? And they might ask you to provide something. Oh, lost the camera again. Because they told me I shouldn't pay more than $200, and I didn't. Anyway, turning on the heat, turning on the AC from your phone, from essentially anywhere on the planet, is cool. And I say the anywhere on the planet thing because when they fixed my charger, they plugged it in and they let it sit for like 3 or 4 days, and I was unable to get the car, so I just sat there and just kept turning on the heater to try to bring the battery down because it's not good to have a fully charged battery. So yeah, I would just turn on the heater every chance I got, actually. I was only able to get like 2 bars to go down. It's a must to upgrade the telematics unit. XM radio, they did a free thing for me, and then I'm paying now, it's $30 for 6 months. I actually like it. That's cool. But yeah, having that ability to check the state of charge, whether or not it's charging, to start the charge, you can't stop the charge, to turn on the AC, turn on the heat, or off. You can do off on those. It's really cool. None of our other cars do that, and I like doing that. I go places and I don't charge. That's another thing I did not expect for some weird reason. And maybe that's the same for you as well, and I keep looking there, but there's no reason to. So I usually charge at home, and when I do public charge, it's usually quick charge. It's, man, the last like 2 months, I've only gone 1 or 2 places where I've used a level 2 charger. Yeah, everything else I just quick charge for like 5 minutes. Usually it's about 5 minutes because it'll bring me, because I'm at a low state, and it'll bring me like 10 miles of charge in 5 minutes. I do now pay for the EV Go $15 a month on the go plan, just because 10 cents a minute just flat anywhere there's an EV Go is much more simple than paying the $4.95 or $5.95 and then $1 a minute or whatever. It's really dumb. So yeah, that $15 a month cost it's worth it. Last month I spent $20, but I charged quite a bit. I think like 8 or 9 times. I want to get another one of these cars. I don't like taking a gas car to work, but I also don't like not leaving the Leaf with the wife, and it's really weird. And if we just had another EV, I would feel so much better. But I'm right now not willing to pay for that. That would require a loan, and I don't want to do a loan. Even though it'd be, was it $150 a month maybe for a $7,000-ish loan, like just roundabout. insurance and all that. The next thing I would like, the Chrysler Pacifica. That is it's a hybrid now. They're making the Chrysler Pacifica hybrid, and it can go up to 30 miles on electric. That is awesome. It's kind of expensive. By kind of, I mean it's like the cost of a Premier Bolt. And it does burn gas, but it could go if you're... it's weird. I don't know. You guys gotta watch Alex on Autos. He has the best review, and I'll link that here. That car would be awesome to have. The cars are just going to keep getting better, the EVs. They're just going to keep getting better. So you can either wait or you can jump in now. I decided to do the jump in now by buying a used one because that's the only way I could afford it, realistically. And I do not regret my decision at all. You will regret your decision if you don't have somewhere at where you live to charge. It requires you to be able to charge at home currently, and that's just because of the range. Once Tesla comes out with their Model 3, you will see a decent amount of people without the ability to charge at home driving those cars because of the supercharger network. And it's going to be really cool. Well, that's it. That's all I got. Well, I hope that helped. See you later, Internet.